The INFP's shadow function is, or shadow role or shadow mode is an ESTJ. And this blog that I was reading by this INFP male that I found very fascinating. In his blog, he talks about how at home, he gets to be INFP, like the dad and the husband, and that's, his family knows him as that, his wife loves that, like the kids love that. But then when he has to go to work, he has to turn on ESTJ. Because that's just the way it goes. It's the kind of work that he's in. I think he might have been an IT guy or something like that. I can't quite sure, but he also is in charge of a lot of people. And INFPs are kind of like ENTPs. We don't like to be in charge, but we will be. And I think INFPs, they can be better at it, I think, than ENTPs can. Maybe that's because TE is in there, and SI seeks the data, and then TE comes in and wants to look around and organize. So an INFP can be that, but since they're using, their third and fourth functions, it's going to be a lot more exhausting for an INFP, for anybody that's, kind of switching into their other mode, because the shadow modes exist for everyone. So, but I do think that INFP males tend to use theirs, or adopt theirs, or put theirs on a lot sooner than other people's, and so I think that they get to know what their shadow mode is like, especially because they're using their NE to model it. They're connecting the dots, and what are other guys like, what do the girls go for, or at least what they think the girls go for. Then they like kind of make this alter ego ESTJ, I think, and they start crafting it a lot younger, I think, than a lot of other people who don't have things that, like, society telling them this is wrong. And I think sometimes if an INFP loses touch with themselves, I think they can start to think that that's them. And I hadn't even read this blog when I started to, I came up with that theory. But the guy says, like, if he goes and, he's working a ton, he says he'll get stuck in ESTJ and he won't even realize it. And he'll go home and he becomes, the INFP shadow mode, which is the ESTJ impersonating an INFP, because he's stuck in this mode and he can't get out of it. So he's trying to act like his normal self, but it's not working, and his family knows it. They call him on it, and he said that he can even get stuck in it for weeks sometimes. And finally, like, it's his family that will call. They'd be like, okay, this is whatever. And he said, anytime he gets stuck like that, and he said it'll happen like a couple times a year, it usually ends in him just like completely breaking down. Like he's just like fireworks, like the world's gonna end, like his life is over, blah blah blah. Like he's just like this complete emotional breakdown. And then it's like this like wave washes over him, and all of a sudden he can become an INFP again. And then he can paint, and he has the things that everybody loves him again. He loves everybody. So that was hysterical for me to read. But it also made me feel sad. It made me feel sad, because I think, like, maybe other people with their shadow modes, maybe they, like, can, like, kind of jump into them here and there. But I don't know if all other types have the danger of, like, assuming, thinking that's them, or getting stuck, or maybe forever in this, like, persona that isn't you. So I think that's something that INFPs should really watch out for. INFPs can go to really dark places, and they can do really awful things to people. Especially things to get reactions. INFPs can be huge on the passive aggression. My INFP aunt is hardly, like, a teeny tiny bit, but something about the dudes I've known, there's like this passive aggressive side, and I've seen one that's gotten really bad before. Like, they want reactions if they're not in a very good place. They want to know either that you care, or that they can get an emotional reaction out of you, or if they decided they don't, like, you rejected them, then, like, they will try to make you like them so that they can then reject you. You know what I mean? Because I've had a very, like, brief experience like that. And it was so random and weird. But, like, somebody was just acting too cool for school, and I was like, whatever. And so then he was, like, nice and, like, let's go out. And then I almost think the INFPs, maybe guys and girls, can, like, morph into who it is that they think that you want them to be to charm you, because I'd already decided, like, I was going on a date with this one guy, and I was like, oh, he's kind of an a-hole, and he's just totally into himself, and he's kind of surface, and, and so then he, like, turned on this whole other, like, kind of act, and I was like, oh, you get me, this is cool, and then he was like, see ya, because I told him, I was like, we could be friends. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And he was like, well, let's go and see each other. Sure, that's fine. I'll be friends. If I'd known he was an INFP, I would have known what he meant by that, which is, okay, I want you to come here and meet me so that I could, like, I feel like I would have known. But yeah, that's what he did. And afterward, when I was like stupefied, you know, like he was like, I'll call you, you know, and I was like, okay. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. Like, I guess I was wrong. I guess my intuition was wrong. Again, I can't do that, because that's what I did. I was like, I guess I was wrong about him, you know? And then like a couple of days or whatever, and then I was like, I was totally right about him. Like, he was, because I was kind of just like, I think I might even have been a little bit sad, but then when I realized what he was, and then I thought he was an INFJ at first, but then I put all the dots together and I realized, no, I was totally wrong. He's definitely an INFP, and now I know what he did, and now I don't even care. If you see this, whoever you are, I just forget your name, and you're still on one of my little things, but like, I can help you. I can give you some advice to help you get through that. But man, you were gonna like wreck some people, because INFPs in a bad place can wreck people. Like, romantically, like they can just tear people apart if they're not in a good place themselves. INFPs can be destroyers. And I'm not even saying this addressed to anybody. It's just that I've noticed these themes, you know, and especially these themes of like sticking toes in. You know, it's like INFPs will like go with your feeling, and then it's like so it's very confusing. It's so confusing for other people. And I'm to the point that I'm like, fuck that. Like, suck it. Like, the next INFP I meet that does that, like, you know, as much as I adore you guys, I do, but I can freaking tell what you guys are doing. I can read INFP's minds at this point, except for that one that was a total asshole. Like, he was kind of a dick, and, you know, super good looking, like, from a rich family, like, obviously, whatever, but, most INFPs, I think, have good intentions, and I think they have, like, a good person inside, and they just might have built, like, these, kind of like the INFJ Teflon shell on the outside. Like, I think the INFP kind of makes one on the inside around their real selves or something, you know?